We had an incredible trip, and I'm very anxious to tell you all about it. The winning FCC essay was written by Julio Montaño. He's an inaugural member of the FCC, so he's supported the group since its beginning.
The first class club, I never thought about how special that would be to have this intimate group of collectors, 10 individuals or couples. It brings it back to the beginning of my career when I was in my 300 square foot apartment. I had a show and I would invite my 4 friends and 2 would come and 1 would buy a painting for $50.
The essay contest this year was to select from 1 of 10 types of emotion and describe how that emotion you selected would be the best one to influence John's next international series.
And it was just so exciting, and you're able to interact and have such an intimate relationship.
We selected a different type of judge this year. In years past, it's been people that make announcements, Frank Billingsley, Ainsley Earhart.
This brings it back to the, in a way, the innocence of the beginning, where we have an event with the FCC members and we're in a circle of chairs that Ryan set up, you know, and we have a thing of flowers in the middle of the floor or whatever.
This year, I wanted to pick someone in the academic world. So his name is Professor Aaron Cosbelt. He's at Brooklyn College. We were able to meet him in New York City to hear the winning essay selection. We were there. We got married again.
It's just become even more special as the trips become more exciting and more dynamic with the art that's created there.
He told us the winning essay was Julio's on surprise.
But it really hit me this year when we were putting together the preliminary stuff for the catalog for Sao Paulo 2013, to see someone's name, like Richard and Joan Jennings, for example, and there's others that, and it had a 4 after their name, you know, meaning they've been in there 4 years with us in the program.
This is Julio Montaño's, just a portion of his essay, and it started off so beautifully, and I found very inspiring.
We played a little game at the FCC before we left, and
how the emotion of surprise would make a very dynamic series, and
that's just the special part of creativity that Ryan puts in, because people see Ryan as the business person.
The most elusive of sensations is surprise. We never know when it will hit us, and usually arrives when we least expect it. We can consciously look for it by opening ourselves to new experience, but can also be ready for it by looking at our everyday patterns in a different way.
And so it's fun to see him come up with these creative things for the FCC members.
That's what happened. Thank you, Julio, for your beautiful essay.
I don't even know where Ryan got this idea.
So here's the big surprise. Okay, initially I was personally going to concoct a huge surprise and not even tell John where we were going.
And we had already decided to do China for the surprise.
Like, show up at the airport, surprise, we're not going to Shanghai.
And he said, what about the big surprises?
I don't like surprises. I cannot stand surprises. I like to orchestrate surprises.
And I'm like, well, tell me the place first, and I'll let you know how excited I am.
It could have been traumatizing
if we're gonna do it. And he said Sao Paulo.
So we were in on it together, and from the beginning,
I would love to go to Sao Paulo. I wanted to go there many years ago. It didn't work out.
When we have our cocktail party,
Ryan was not in the art business then.
And we enact this elaborate game of these clues.
So it made it even more special to do it now with Ryan being along on the trip with me.
Julio is the one who holds up Shanghai.
It was a difficult challenge to keep the secret.
We knew from the minute we were not going to Shanghai.
But I have to hand it to Ryan. I don't know where he pulled that out from, but he did a very good job.
2 FCC cocktail parties.
The tension built up to the reveal of the lie.
Shanghai send-off, we had Chinese food.
It wasn't a build-up, it was built the moment Ryan decided we're doing this.
Lots of sharing on Facebook.
So much of our trip is getting information from friends.
You know, there's that movie Shanghai Surprise with Madonna and Sean Penn. I was sharing all that.
They know where we're going. They're like, well, you got to meet this person, you got to do this.
People want to connect you with where to go, who they know.
This restaurant, you need to go to this restaurant, and I'm like...
It's just hard because you have to listen and be respectful, but you know you're not going there.
None of that's going to be of value to us now. And not only that...
This was an elaborate scheme.
You have to be at an event or with a dear friend, and you have to act like you're interested in what they're saying about somewhere you're not going.
The worst was my parents,
It was not easy.
who were planning and who are in the FCC, Bill and Judy Lindsay.
Watching Ryan when somebody would say, oh, now I know you're going to Shanghai, and Ryan would be like,
They left China like 2 days before we were supposed to be arriving in China.
So tell me what you're doing.
All these things, don't do this in China, don't do this, don't let somebody
We're so
ask
overwhelmed, we can't really even talk about what we're going to do when we're there.
English with them because then they'll charge you and it's a big scam. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, it got to be insane.
This is your mom.
I know. I'm like, okay, I gotta tell them everything. I'm like, okay.
We're on the plane, we're bored. I'm like, Ryan, can I text people now that we're not going? He's like, no, we have to land. I'm like, well, I'm sure we're gonna land just fine.
Wonderful experience, no regrets, very exhilarating.
So, surprise, we didn't go to China.
Probably will not do that again. You can just look at one picture of David Solis and he'll make you smile.
My name's David Solis, and I'm the director for Latin America for Virtuoso.
So loving, the most infectious personality maybe you've ever met.
Virtuoso is a luxury travel network comprised of high-end travel agencies that provide the best services and amenities to their customers all over the world.
David Solis was the one person who really helped us plan and organize what we were going to be doing in São Paulo.
Any insight that I could provide them, for their annual trip, which is so special because it really just sets off the tone for whatever theme John is going to be using for, that specific series.
He was the person who got a connection and recommended Flavia.
He reached out to me a few months ago, an email saying that he had some real good friends of his that were going to go down to Sao Paulo, and he wanted to get, I guess, my expert opinion.
He gave us restaurant recommendations, shopping recommendations.
Sat down and I typed out this long email with all of the recommendations, and a couple weeks later he reaches out again and says, I've got something to tell you, but you have to swear to secrecy. John and I, our annual trip, we're telling everybody we're going to Shanghai, but we're not.
And he was funny and honored to be in on the surprise.
So I died laughing at that point.
Flavia Liz de Paolo is a Sao Paulo specialist.
My name is Flavia Liz de Paolo.
She's like a million amazing people put into one person.
I'm a big mix of ethnics.
We knew it real quick that our tour guide selection was impeccable and the best.
I give tailor-made cultural tours in the city of São Paulo. I'm an expert in São Paulo.
She organized 4 days of touring for us.
Also give lectures, conferences, classes at the universities, give trainings to 5-star hotels.
We arrived in Sao Paulo, we had a day of rest, get unpacked in the apartment, then we hit the ground running.
The subject is luxurious tourism in São Paulo. I love São Paulo because we have a huge quantity of cultural centers, cultural institutes, contemporary art galleries, art museums. Most of them are free of charge. When you have to pay something, it's a symbolic price. We call it banana price, preço de banana.
We are getting ready to land in Sao Paulo, and several people asked us, are you concerned about people speaking English?
Sao Paulo, Brazil holds a special place in my heart. I was born and raised in Mexico City, and I believe that Sao Paulo, in all of Latin America, is the city that most resembles Mexico City.
I know this is a elitist comment to think, well, any big country I've been to, people speak English enough to get by.
When we fly in, it's not like any other city we've ever arrived in.
Not in Sao Paulo.
Wonderful people, wonderful food. It's just a very large, cosmopolitan, and fun city.
It's like skyscrapers. It's sprawling as far as the eye can see.
We also have the best contemporary art fairs in Latin America and in the Southern Hemisphere.
But nobody should go to a country and assume they're going to facilitate your experience because they know your language.
We have the old and the very new, the brand new, and the modern living side by side.
There, you don't want to be the person that I have traveled with before. Of course, not Ryan, this is way previous, but that irritating American that walks over to somebody, do you know how to get down to the 318?
And also because of the huge contrasts, we have the poor and the wealthy living side by side.
The difference in living conditions is extreme.
Hola, or anything to say that you respect who they are and just assuming they're gonna know.
Poor as poor can be in the favela. The fanciest, finest, high-rise, mega security you've ever seen in your life.
I never want to be that person when I travel. I want to be the ambassador to America that you're gonna be polite and do the best you can.
Our living conditions were extremely nice. We're in a neighborhood called, I'm gonna misspell this, but Jardins, that's for garden.
Ryan works really hard to get a studio separate from where we're staying so I can really focus on the art.
You look out at, we're on a 10th floor high rise. You look out and there's a park.
So we get there, still no studio organized.
Which truly is a rainforest. It's a portion of the rainforest.
This urban jungle is 11,000 official soccer stadiums big.
And so we're talking to Flavia about it, and she just mentioned, well, my parents do have a condo that's in my building that's between tenants. And I have opened a gallery there, and I have art on exhibit, and I'm sure that Junkie's part of that for his studio. And I'm like, what?
The most prominent street in the whole city is right next to us, Paulista Avenue.
I mean, so we get to this one destination before we're gonna go look at the studio, and I just say, Ryan, we can't go. We can't go do that. I'm just too tired. I mean, I don't even know how far we have to go. It's just, please.
So spacious, white, 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 everything. White walls, white marble, master bed, master bath, guest bath.
Let's just not. And he's like, we have to do it today.
You know, comparatively, Sao Paulo is so expensive.
Thank God we did it. We get there. It's in this incredible complex of high rises, the 20th floor. Not only do I have the studio, but I have full access to there's the spa, the pool, the everything.
Miss so much. This was a surprise.
Yeah, it was several pools.
When we arrived at our high rise, this is like language barrier hits us like out of control.
And so not only was I able to create in the studio, but I could take a break and have a coffee or go down to the pool, have some champagne, relax, take a breather from it, go back up and work.
And this lady comes out of the elevator.
We couldn't have planned a better studio.
It's awkward, it's small, it's a contained space.
But you know the way it works. You're building this over here and all your time and everything and nothing's happening, and then you come over here
and she starts pulling our luggage into the elevator, and we're like, people here have got the hospitality going on.
Out of the sky, something falls into your lap.
Well, that was our housekeeper. Okay, like we didn't know that.
And you think that's all coincidence that all happened. That was meant to happen.
Probably.
So Miss Solange was our housekeeper.
That's right, but you better have done that work over here or the other area is not gonna happen.
She came once or twice a day, cleaned, freshened up.
Just plant and just keep on going, and the sweetest things in the world come out.
She's a sweetheart, zero English. And she really latched onto John, of course. Of course. She got to the point, this is like on day 2, when she would show up and I would be the only one there. He'd be off photographing or something. And she'd be like, where's John? John. She'd just be like, what? Where's John?
This is the first trip that we really focused on creating dinner at the apartment.
We had a gorgeous apartment, a gorgeous kitchen. And so we cooked a lot.
It would just be these really, really good meals and very healthy.
We had taco salad, we had barbecue chicken, we had spaghetti.
And it would be very relaxing to have it in the apartment, even in bed, and then it would be the end of our day.
You'll probably have seen pictures in the past. John and I get in these horrible rituals. We'll get a big pita or, gyro, huge, as big as your head.
I really missed our dogs and cats though, because usually they're like herds around us, like waiting to do the kill on the food, you know?
And so you might have seen a lot of my Facebook sharing with these meals that I cook. John made a few. I mean, he made the coffee mainly, but like, here's the thing. It was a convenience, and it really, really made us feel relaxed at the end of the day. So we were treated by Shadi and Vera, who are these international travel gurus and are great friends of David Solis.
The time that I was most envious is when obviously they had an opportunity to meet with Shadi and Vera.
This might be his favorite restaurant in the world.
And then the four of them went to my favorite place in all of Sao Paulo.
Vento Harango.
A traditional Brazilian rodizio restaurant called Vento Oregano.
Haragano. So we're Facebooking, I'm sharing, I'm trying to make him real jealous.
Yeah, every time that I'm in Sao Paulo, I make a point to go either have lunch or dinner there.
The hostesses are in these gorgeous traditional Brazilian gowns.
Of course, gain 10 pounds in the process, but it's just...
So out of control delicious.
Just an amazing dining experience, and it's something that is extremely local.
I'll always pick a real fancy dinner for us to have.
And I was just thrilled that they had an opportunity to enjoy a meal there.
And I was like, well, that's it. I mean, I was like, well, I am not planning to compete with that.